Assalamu alaikum. I do apologize having a little bit of technical difficulty here, so I hope you all can hear me. Um, if you can hear me, can someone please say something in the chat to let me know my audio is good? Walaikum salam to everyone joining in the chat. Um, brother Rahman Abdullah, can you verify with me that my audio is good? Can you all hear me? Okay, thank you, sir. Okay. We're going to go ahead and get started with today's meeting. I do apologize for the technical difficulty. We're going to go ahead and begin with our prayer. As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, we open and close all of our meetings in prayer. So at this time, I ask you all to stand in the position of prayer. And for those of you who are tuning in for your very first time, we're taught to pray in this manner, with our heels touching at a 45-degree angle, standing erect with our hands out, extended as if we were receiving a gift, our heads slightly bowed, and our eyes closed to this wicked world. For those of you who know the prayer, say along with me in silence. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praises due to Allah, the Lord of all the worlds, the Beneficent, the most merciful Master and Savior of this day of judgment in which we now live. To thee alone do we serve, and to thee alone do we beseech for thine aid. O Allah, guide us along the right path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed favor, and not on the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor of those who have gone astray after they have heard thy teachings. Ameen. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, we can never give enough thanks and praise to Almighty God Allah, who came to us in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, and for raising one in our midst, a divine leader and teacher and guide for us here in the wilderness of North America. And I speak of none other than the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I'd like to greet each and every one of you all in our greetings, words of peace and paradise in the Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum. What a beautiful greeting that is. Peace be unto you. That's what Assalamu alaikum means for those of you tuning in for your very first time who are unfamiliar with our greeting. Assalamu alaikum. Translated into English out of the Arabic language means peace be unto you. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that there's no greater greeting than one of peace. And I believe we all can agree on that. You know, we're accustomed to saying hello. But we all know that hell is low. So what kind of greeting is that? To greet your brother or your sister or your loved one in hell low. Peace is what we need today. As we look around in these troubled streets, there's nothing that we need more right at this point in time than peace. Because there is no peace out there. Dissatisfaction is at an all-time high. Everybody's dissatisfied today. Is that right? The wicked is dissatisfied. along with the righteous. The righteous are dissatisfied also. We're dissatisfied that we have to live in this wicked world among the wicked. So it's dissatisfaction everywhere. And being that we're in a world of dissatisfaction, we got to ask ourselves, where are we headed? Which brings me to the topic of my discussion today, the fall of America. But before I go into the lecture, I would like to acknowledge a few of our guests online. We have Aliyah Abdullah. Assalamu alaikum, sister. Brother Rahman Abdullah. Assalamu alaikum. And I'd like to also extend the greeting to all the believers across the country who are standing up and continuing the work of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because we know how important it is for this work to continue to be pushed. We see the end. We are in the end. As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, the end is not coming. It's already here. We're in it right now. This is the ending. The end of what? The end of the white man's world, which we know it as the wicked, the world in the time of the wicked. This is the end, brothers and sisters. And it's not very hard to understand that. We all can see a mighty change taking place right now. And this is a divine thing that's going on right now. We see the changing of two worlds. You have one world going out and another world coming in. And just like in history, when we study history, world history of the nations, every mighty nation had its rise to power, and then it had its fall. If we look back into the history before America became so mighty and great, there was others that were great and mighty. Let's look at Rome for an example. Rome was once the mighty nation just like America. It was the America of that time. Is that right? Rome was considered a mighty nation with high technology, high science and politics, government, and a mighty army. And they were the America of their time. Mighty. Where are they today? Yeah, we see Rome exist, but many of you don't even think about Rome, do you? Don't even cross your mind unless you visit in the past or you reading through the scriptures where it speaks of Rome. That's the only time we think of Rome. Is that right? Because they are no factor in today's time. They're not as mighty in power as they once were. Is that right? Let's look at Egypt, for example, for another example. Egypt was once a mighty nation, right? High in technology. They had technology. Matter of fact, their technology we're still studying to this day. Is that right? But where are they? We see Egypt is still there, but where's the power that they once had? It's buried under sand because they had their fall. Now, fast forward to today. Here we are in a mighty nation called the United States of America. The mightiest, they say, of all the civilizations before. And here we are at its fall, as we all can see today. We see this country falling. And if not, you got some mighty blinders on your eyes if you can't see this country falling. Well, I like to point out a few things before we go deep into the subject. I like to point out this board right here, is which we call the Actual Facts Board, given to us by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The Actual Facts Board. It's called the Actual Facts Board because in this board, everything you see on it is an actual fact. And on this board, it says Christianity over here to our left with the American flag. And underneath it, slavery, suffering, death with the symbol of the cross. Then over here to our right, it says Islam with the universal flag, crescent moon and star, freedom, justice, and equality underneath that. And in between the two, it says which one will survive the war of Armageddon. And underneath that, you see this picture of a black man hanging on a tree. Now, you may be asking yourself, why is it arranged like this? Why do you see Christianity on this side with the American flag, slavery, suffering, and death underneath it with the symbol of the cross? And why do you see Islam on this side with the crescent moon and star, freedom, justice, and equality on that side? It's for a reason. This board should cause you to question, ask questions. You should want to know why this board is designed this way and why you see these images on here. Because there's some truth. There is tons of truth in here that you need to understand today. Let's look at this, Christianity. And I'm going to be brief on this because we got to go into our subject, but this will lead into the fall of America. We have Christianity and the American flag. Why is Christianity over the American flag? Well, we all know that America prides itself on being the strongest Christian nation. Is that right? America is a Christian nation. Now, when we look at the flag, underneath it says slavery, suffering, and death, and the emblem of the cross. This is all what we've been given since we've been here, since we were brought here. And there were some of us that were already here. Some of our people, our brothers and sisters, was already here, and they were given this. Now, you got to understand, why is there freedom, justice, and equality under Islam and slavery, suffering, and death under the American flag? As I just explained, this is what we received right here. You see this brother hanging from the tree? That came under this flag. And to this day, we still have not received proper justice. Is that right? Tell me when America ever even apologized for what they've done to our people. Now let's move on. Freedom, justice, and equality. This is what we're offered today. This is what we were given, and this is what we're offering today. So what we have before us is two choices to choose from. As the Bible teaches us that God said, I give you blessed, I give you cursed. I give you life, and I give you death. Choose life that you and your seed may live. Choose life. Which one of these represent life to you? Which one has given us life? Here we have, let's look at this flag real quick. You have a field of blue, right? And in that field of blue, you have 50 5-pointed stars, right? Each representing the 50 states of America, right? They call United States. Well, if they're united, why do they need a symbol of justice in each one? Because over here we see true unity, which Islam offers. You only have one star for all, but you have 50 over here. 50 5-pointed stars. The 5-pointed star represents justice, right? So what this is telling us that each state has its own justice. And we all know this, right? Many of you have traveled or lived in many different places in America. You know that each state carries its own laws and justices, right? What's in one state, the crime might be, your conviction might be heavier than it is in another state. One state, your laws might be lighter than it is in another state. It's not true justice all across the board. So you have different justices going on in each state. Is that right? And I know this for a fact. I bear witness to it. But here you have one star. This is why you see in this flag, it represents freedom, justice, and equality. One star. That means justice for all. Not just justice for a certain justice for one state or one country or one. It's justice for all. Freedom for all. Justice and equality. So, which one do you think will survive this war of Armageddon, which is a holy war? Slavery, suffering, and death, or freedom, justice, and equality? Which one would you want to win? Survive, excuse me. And there's a reason why it says survive. It doesn't say which one will win the war of Armageddon. It says which one will survive the war of Armageddon. But we won't get into that today. However, you keep coming back, and we're going to revisit this. And I highly encourage you, if you have not yet, go visit your local Muhammad's Temple of Islam. That way you can get more in-depth teachings in training, because we can only give you so much online. And we'll provide information at the end of this lecture where you can go and visit a local temple, or we can help direct you to one, because it's important, brothers and sisters. We can't teach you everything online, and we can't teach you everything in just this 1 hour. So we encourage you to come on in to the temple where you can get further teaching and training. Now, at this time, I like to go into a subject, which is the fall of America. The fall of America. Why must America fall? See, the fall of one nation brings about the rise of another one. As I mentioned earlier, through history, we've seen that take place. Because before America was mighty and great and had its rise to power, there was another nation that was mighty in power. So here it is, this nation that is the mightiest nation on the planet at this time is on a downward fall. So what does that mean? That means another nation is on its way up. And I'm here to relay this message to you, brothers and sisters, that it's your time, black man and woman. It is your time, your nation's time to rise, just as it was predicted in the Bible. The scriptures teach us of your rise and the fall of this country that has held you down. It's your time. And many of you don't even know it because you actually believe that this nation is yours. You actually believe that this nation is yours. And boy, have you been greatly deceived, brothers and sisters. We have been tricked. And all praise due to Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad for giving us the knowledge of self, God, and our open enemies, the devil. And he taught us about this nation and these people that run the nation. And it's important, brothers and sisters, that we learn this because we are standing in the way of our rise. As long as you stay tied to this nation that's fallen, two things. One, you're in the way of the fall. Two, you're going to end up falling with it. Now, remember, those in the past, they never seen they fall coming, or they didn't realize that their fall was coming. You know, when you got a country and a nation so mighty, you never think about your nation falling. You know, I like to look at that, think about it like, I remember when, I know some of you may be too young for this, but you do understand that there was a time where Mike Tyson, heavyweight champion of the world, nobody really ever seen Mike Tyson getting beat, let alone knocked out. I was a fan of Mike Tyson's. And in my mind, I didn't think nobody could defeat him. And when I remember the day he got knocked out, that was a shock. That shocked the world because he was so great. He was eliminating opponents in seconds of the first round. That means the bell ain't even stopped ringing yet, and he laying people out. He was a knockout artist that was so severe that I didn't see his end coming like that. And I'm pretty sure even before that time, we had Muhammad Ali, who was so great at his time. Then he had his fall. So what I'm doing, where I'm going with this, brothers and sisters, is to get you to see the rise and the fall of power. See, this country is at its end. This world, should I say, because not only this country, but this world that we see today is at its end. You know, if we look at the scriptures teach us, if you go to Luke chapter 17, verse 28 through 37, it teaches us, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the coming of the Son of Man, right? Well, the Son of Man has come. And guess what we see today? Just like during the time of Noah, when Noah was building the ark, right? He couldn't get the people to come in and help. The people thought he was crazy. Oh, no, we don't see no clouds forming. What you talking about? Rain. You over here building an ark. They laughed and mocked the man. And Noah talked for quite some time. The people didn't listen. So the day that the ark was built and Allah told him to close them doors, that was it. It was too late. So it is today's time. We had the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He could be considered the Noah of today. And the ark represents our nation. He went to work building a nation. And here we have people who rejected him. Our people rejected him. And they reject him to this day. Here we are telling you, come on in, brothers and sisters. Let us build this ark because we see what's coming ahead of us. We was given a warning from Allah. Allah warned us about the destruction of this world. So we're out telling the people, hey, come on in. Let us build. Let us build this ark. Many people reject us. They mock us. They laugh at us. Oh, man, y'all crazy with all that Muhammad talk. And guess what? One day, just like it was in the days of Noah, it's going to be too late. Just like it was in the day of Lot, so shall it be in the days of the Son of Man, or the coming of the Son of Man. Now remember Lot. That was the same story told about today's times as Noah's time, because we all understand the world did not necessarily flood 40 days and 40 nights. There's no historical record or proof that that ever happened. There is none. What that describes, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the Bible was written symbolically. So a lot of things that we read in a lot of these stories we read in the Bible are symbolic, and they have a symbolic meaning, just like the water. The water represents something. You get what I'm saying? A lot of these beast-like animals and things that you hear in the Bible are symbolic, and they represent either a people or something. We know that there is no dragon that's going to come up out. See, a lot of this is our misinterpretations, and it was all done by design to deceive us. So let's go to the fall of America, right? Why must America fall? Well, let's look at the foundation. We know that the foundation of a house is the most solid part of the house. That's what holds the house up, right? You build anything on a weak foundation, it will not last. Is that right? So let's look at America's foundation. Now we're going to feast our eyes back on this actual facts board. America. Let's look at slavery, right? Isn't that part of America's foundation? How it was founded, and it's part of its rise to fame came by way of slavery, right? But before we go there, how did they get the country in the first place? Who were these people? According to history, we know that these people were beyond savage. They were criminals that was kicked out of their country, traveled over here, seen a land with all that had occupants in it already. But they seen an opportunity in the land. So what they do? Came over, played friends with the natives, the indigenous people of this part of the planet. Then went back and reported what they found. Then they got help and funding from Europe, came back over here and took it by force. Is that right? We all know that. They took it by force. So let's look at this foundation. You come over here and you take it by force, right? Now, then it didn't stop there. You go over to what they call Africa. We know it as Asia, but Africa. Trick our people to get on the boat. Whole lot of tricking going on, huh? A whole lot of deception, right? But these are the masters of deception we're dealing with. Bring our people over here in chains, forcing them into slavery. Slavery was big business here in America, right? Business so big, it helped build and form the economy here. Is that right? So now, through slavery, it caused suffering and death, right? So let's look at this foundation. Look at who came over here and how they established this country. How did they expect this to stand on a foundation that was so wicked? Ask yourself that. Now, when we look at this foundation, we got to say, it's been long enough. I'm surprised it held up this long. But we see it falling apart today, right? The foundation, this house is crumbling. And there's many factors to the fall of this country. We just named one that was very serious, which is the foundation, right? Then you got to think, on top of the foundation, they built more wickedness because they went all over the world, disturbing the peace of others everywhere. Have y'all noticed something? You can travel all over the country. Well, now if things are starting to shift, you're starting to see a lot of different things happening. But you could, those of you who travel, especially if you were in the military, you notice America has a military base in a lot of foreign countries, right? How do you go set up a military base in another man's land? Have y'all ever thought of that? And if you notice something, you never find anybody else's military base here. You don't see the Russian Air Force base here. You don't see a Chinese army base here, right? You don't see the Afghanistan Navy base here, right? But you can go to all of these other countries and you will find an American base. Think about this. Now, they done went all over the world causing havoc, dividing and conquering. And they still doing it to this day. Losing friendship because they go in imposing as friends, just like they did in the beginning when they came over here with the indigenous people of this part, right? just like they did when they went into Africa and got us. Came in there friendly. As soon as we got on the boat and sailed off into the middle of the ocean, they revealed themselves to us and their intentions. Well, so it is all over the world. They've been doing this everywhere they go. And now we're starting to see the effects of all of that coming, the repercussions, shall I say, coming back. Is that right? The world is waking up. They're starting to say, oh man, hold up. These people been lying to us. They've been tricking us. And they're starting to fight back. You know, at one point in time, this was the mighty nation that had everybody trembling in fear. Just the name would have people shaking in their boots, because they knew that you mess with this country, it's over for you. They knew how dirty and wicked they would play. So now here we are, 2024. Allah has snatched the covers off of them, revealing their true identity, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, which is the devil. So, just as it was prophesied that the end time, Allah would destroy this world, right? But before he destroy it, he would expose, because Allah is a just God. Allah is not going to destroy a people until he shows and proves why he should destroy them in the first place. That's justice, right? It's just like when you go to court, in a courtroom, the judge will convict you once the evidence is presented, right? So today, Allah has snatched the covers off of America, showing, revealing all of his dirt. And we're seeing it today, from the top all the way to the bottom, from the politicians, from the government, the heads, all the way down to the smallest of civilization. We see it all now. Is that right? You know, when we look at social media, we say social media is a curse because, man, it's just nothing but filth and wickedness. It is. However, it's also a blessing, because we need to see all of this, because Allah is presenting the evidence before our face. So when he does destroy this wicked world, can't nobody say, why God do that? Why God burn America? Well, he's showing us why. All you have to do, you can go right online right now. Scroll down, just scroll down, and you're going to see tons of evidence right before your face. You can walk outside your door right now and see tons of evidence before your face. Is that right? Oh, praise due to Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Allah is revealing everything. This is the day that all defects will be manifest. Because again, brothers and sisters, we're at the end. This is it. The end is not coming. We're in it right now. See, some of y'all think the end is just one day. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the end is a process. And it's a process to an ending. It's just like if you're watching a movie, right? There's certain scenes that build up to the closing scene, right? But it's still considered the end of the movie. Is that right? When you're discussing the movie with somebody and you say, hey man, did you see the end part where such and such did such and such? The credits didn't just stop right there. It ended in the process. We're in that process right now of this world, which is going out, brothers and sisters. So, the fall of America. We looked at the foundation. We see that the foundation is faulty. They losing friendship all across the world. There are certain countries that hate America. Is that right? They burning flags. They chanting death to America. Is that right? Why? Why is all of this taking place? Because the foundation is shaking. Everything is falling apart here. The economy, look at the economy here, falling apart. Trillions of dollars in debt. Food shortage, right? We have wars upon wars. When is the time that America was not in war? Think about this, brothers and sisters. We have a trade war. America's at war with the people they depend on for their goods and merchandise. Is that right? China is one of our leading merchants. A lot of things, almost everything come from China. Is that right? You got electronics, from food to clothing, to tools, you name it, parts, automotives, I mean, you name it. They have been supplying America with almost everything. Them, along with India and certain other countries, even the Arab nation, supplied them America with oil. They're at war with the people. They go to war with the people they depend on. So what do you think's gonna happen when all of that gets cut? We've already seen glimpses of it. And it's coming. It's really here now. The fall of America. This country's falling. Look at the people. Look around you, brothers and sisters. Look at the government. Right now, we got people getting ready to vote. Right? Everybody lining up at the polls, getting ready to vote for the next head leader or spokesman, shall I say, for this country. Because we got to understand one thing about the president. The president is not the leader of the country. The president is just a spokesman for the country. The real leaders you don't see. They behind closed doors. We don't see their face. We don't know their names. But they're the ones behind closed doors making the decisions for what goes on in the country. They're the ones that write the script for the president to read. So, one thing about politics we should understand is that before you go out there casting your votes, you should understand that. Because maybe that'll have an effect on what you're voting for and why. Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, you know, we're not into the white man's politics. So we don't go out and vote because for what? We're going to vote for the lesser of evil. We're going to vote for them to continue to rule us. Why? They're not going to do good by us. And when they do, it's a certain, they have an agenda behind it. And trust me, that agenda is not in the best interests of you and I. And you would think 2024, we would have figured this out by now. But this just shows you the strength and power of the deception that they have over us. All these years, we've been suffering under this flag, and we still have not figured it out yet. Even after the truth has come to us. Allah has came and revealed the truth to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That truth to wake us up. And many of our people are still blinded. The election coming up. The election deception. You know, how important is the black vote? You got to ask yourself. You know, they only want us to deceive us, to keep us under their foot, under their rule. And at this point, you have what they call Republicans, then you have the Democrats. Both parties are fighting each other on how they're going to rule us. Both parties fighting, going back and forth with one another on how they're going to rule us. But either one, they're still going to rule over us. Is that right? And it don't matter who they put up there. You know, we got fooled with Obama. We thought we really made it. And what Obama do for us? Ask yourself that. I've been asking people to explain to me, give me one thing that he done for us. Just one. And then let's put it on the scale of today and what it has done and how it affected us. Because as we look out today, we're still in the same condition. Is that right? Our condition hasn't changed. We're still at the bottom of civilization. We are at the bottom of civilization. Yeah, we might be the biggest rap stars or the biggest pop stars or the biggest box office movie celebrities. But we're still, as a people, at the bottom of civilization. See, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us that they will not give us any justice because it's not in them to give us justice. They were not made for that. They were made to rule. Just as it says in Genesis, when God said, let us make a man after our likeness and in our image and after our likeness. Then he gave him dominion over everything, meaning he made him the ruler of everything. He wasn't made to submit, or he wasn't made to be equal to no one. And if you pay attention close enough, you'll see they don't have it in them to submit or to be equal to anyone. So, with that being said, let's look at it. How will this house stand? How will it stand? Now, they got Sister Kamala Harris. She didn't even want to claim us at first. Remember, she wasn't black at first. Now they throwing her on us. They want us to cast our vote for her. You know, and many of our people were gonna fall for the trick. But I say to you, brothers and sisters, if you're gonna vote for Allah and come under your banner and your flag and let us unite, because it's time, brothers and sisters. It's your time. It's our time. When one nation falls, another one rises in its place. You see one falling now. Why are you holding on to it? It's time to let go. Let go. If you was in let's say a boat that was sinking, right? Wouldn't you want to get to safety? Or were you just going to stand on the boat and you're going to hold on to the boat while it go under? This is what we look like today, holding on to a sinking boat. Fall of America. Why must America fall? Another reason is the mistreatment of her once slave, right? Is due to the mistreatment of her once slave. Allah made a promise to Abraham. He said, Abraham, know of a surety that thy seed will be taken to a land that is not of their own. And they will be tormented and afflicted for 400 years. And he said after that, he would come and he would deliver them and destroy those who ruled over them. Is that right? Well, that's speaking of none other than the black man and woman here in America. No other people fit that description, right? Because that was a prophecy. He said, know of a surety. And he was telling Abraham that this is going to happen for sure. He said, know of a surety. But he also promised not only that it would happen to us, that he would come and deliver us. Is that right? And this is why he came in 1930 in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, God himself. He had to come in person. Now, I know you might be saying, Brother Daniel, that God is not a man. And I say to you, well, if God is not a man, what is it? If God is not a man, why come and describe him in the Bible and in every religious text you find where it speaks of God? It talks of him, it speaks of him as a man. Is that right? It says he sat at a throne, right? If God is not a man, why does he have the pronoun he? They could have easily said it or that or, her, she, or anything else, right? But it's always describing him as a man. He sat, he walked, he talked. This is describing a man. Is that right? The Son of Man. Think over this, brothers and sisters. He had to come himself, just as it was written of him. And he raised one in our midst, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as his messenger. Why? To deliver us the message, to make the way, to clear the way for Allah. Just like he did in the past with all of the other prophets. He always sends one. Is that right? This is how Allah shows his wisdom and his might and his power, that he don't have to raise up 1,000. He just raised one, right? Just one. And he didn't choose the biggest and the strongest of us all. He chose one of the smallest, uneducated. Why? To prove his power, to show forth his power. See, you got to be a mighty man to take a small man, uneducated, put your knowledge and wisdom in him, and he raised up a nation. Inside of a nation, right? Not only inside of a nation, but a wicked nation that is against you. This shows the power of Allah. So, Here we are, the rise of a nation, all caused by Master Farad Muhammad, who came and taught the messenger just as the Bible teaches us. Before the great and dreadful day of the Lord, I will send you Elijah. Well, Elijah has come. Elijah came and he raised up a nation. The nation, the lost found nation of Islam, was risen up by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. All praise due to Allah. And this nation rising in the midst of another nation who was suffering slavery and death. That's mighty. That's a mighty, mighty man. And we have to look at that today, because this is another reason that this must fall. You can't have freedom, justice, and equality and slavery, suffering, and death in the same house. It's going to clash. You can't. Only one of them is going to survive. Now, I ask you again, brothers and sisters, which one did you want to survive? Huh? Freedom, justice, and equality, or slavery, suffering, and death? The fall of America. You know, I know many of our people believe in this flag, have fought for this flag, have died for this flag. But they don't understand is that if this was yours and it belonged to you, then why did we have to go through this to get it? Slavery. Not only that, think about this. If this was yours and this is your country, what is civil rights? Why are we fighting for civil rights? Why did we have to fight for civil rights? Think over that, brothers and sisters. What country belongs to somebody that they have to fight for their own civil rights for? This is a sign letting us know that this is not ours. This don't belong to you. If you had to fight to be a citizen, then it ain't yours. Jim Crow. We had to go through Jim Crow. This shows us this is not ours. You know, many people ask the question too, if God is who they say he is, why did he allow us to go through this? Why didn't he just come and destroy America? Well, it's because you in the way. We in the way. We holding on. The scriptures teach us, Jesus prophesied and said, he spoke of the wheat and the tare being separated. He gave a perfect example that the wheat had to be separated from the tare. Is that right? And any of you who know anything about gardening and farming, you understand that you can't just go in and kill the weeds, because you'll kill your crop or you'll kill your plants. Is that right? You have to separate them. You separate it, and then you take out you separate the wheat or your weeds from your plant or vegetation, and then you cut out the weeds. The weeds, right? Well, so this is what Jesus was getting over to us. He was explaining to us that a separation must take place first, right? Because if not, God would destroy us all. Because we too ignorant to the fact. And we over here holding on to something we think that is ours. So if God came and destroyed America, he would destroy us all, the wheat and the tare. So there had to be a separation of the two. And this is where the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came to do. Not only just to teach us and to warn us, he also came to separate us. And many of us looked at him and we charged him with hate. because he talked about separation. They don't charge Jesus with hate when Jesus talked about separation, but they talk about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad being a hater because he wanted separation. And they tried to make him the equal of the Klan members who wanted segregation. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad made it very clear he's not for segregation, he's for separation. And there's a difference in the two. Not for segregation, but for separation. See, we have to be separated. We have to. That's why the Bible predicted the separation. Is that right? Go back and study that. Go back and study your Bibles, brothers and sisters. The separation must take place first. We gotta be separated. So, Moses had to take the people from Pharaoh. They had to be separated from Pharaoh for God to destroy Pharaoh. So it is with us. We have to be taken away, and not just physically, mentally separated. See, many of us still hold on to the mental slavery in all of the teachings that we've been taught through this devil. He's the one that taught us what we do today. When we think about all the wickedness in the world that our people are involved in, where did we learn it from? Because you got to remember, just over 100 years ago, we were slaves, right? In the cotton field, we didn't know nothing. They say the average slave only spoke 3 words, said three words. So we didn't know nothing. How did we learn all of this stuff coming from nothing? By watching them. We watched the white man. Is that right? We learned how to be gangsters from watching them. Now we gang members all over the city, you know, terrorizing, because we learned that from them, right? Watching Al Capone, right? We wanted to be that. They had the cars, the jewelry, the nice clothes, the women, the power, the money. So we watched them and we wanted the same thing they had. Is that right? So we watched them and we followed them. Now we out here gun toting and doing drive-bys. You know, the drive-bys started with them, right? Our women, watching them. We wanted to put on makeup, watching them. And they were only putting on makeup to make their faces fuller and darker to look like our women. But we following them. Where did we get these fashion, the half-dress fashion? From them. Is that right? We didn't come up with that. They did. Now we take it, we running with it. Just like everything else we learned from them. Is that right? So when we say, oh, black people are wicked too, yes, that's true. But we learned it. We learned it from them. It's not in our nature to be that way, but we are outside of our nature because we're taught that way. It's just like you can take an animal outside of its nature, outside of its inhabitant, and make it do something outside of its nature. You got dogs standing up, walking on 2 feet, dancing and doing tricks and backflips, and you can teach an animal these things because it's a taught behavior and a taught action, right? The same thing that they have done to us. So now we done turned into more wicked than they are. Look at us today. When we make music, we got to make the worst and the most filthiest, most foul music of all. When we go buy jewelry, we can't just go buy a chain. No, we got to buy the biggest chain, the biggest medallion. In fact, we throw on 10 chains on top of each other just because we are an extreme people. We are extremists. We take things too far. Just like we have taken this and we accepted this and we think this is ours. So now we want to claim it. And we go too far with it, not realizing that we're only holding on to slavery, suffering, and death. And we haven't even gotten to this yet, this cross. The old rugged cross, symbol of slavery, suffering, and shame. But we haven't even gotten into that yet. Y'all keep coming back, though. We will discuss that more. So look at it. Look at America today. Look at the people of America. All this killing, mass killing. Your child go to school and end up getting shot at school. They opening fire right inside the school, killing tons of children. This is a sick world we in. Rape, murder, on top of the food being poisoned, the water being poisoned. And you say, why America? Why does it have to fall? Why is it on the top of the list of destruction for God? God said America's at the top of his list and will be destroyed first because this is the most wicked of all places on the planet. We're in the most wicked place in the world. Now, you say, well, why didn't God just destroy America? Because we're in the way. We standing in the way of our rise. That's right. We're in the way. And here we are, followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, going after you, brothers and sisters, to teach you the knowledge of yourself so you can come on and be a part of your rise. Accept and reclaim your own. You have a nation, brothers and sisters. Allah came himself. He came himself and gave us a nation. You know, it's sad that many of us do a poor job in research. You know, they'll study everything. Many people study Malcolm X, all of the followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but they won't study the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. How do you go to the student and just pass up the teacher? He's the one that was risen up by God to teach us. Why not go to the teacher? But we want to run to Malcolm X and all of these others. And I get it. Because we're at a time where deception is so great. The deceiver knows it's our time. They know. So they're doing all they can to prevent the rise and their fall. They know that they can buy time by keeping us deceived, keeping us blind. But they also know that time is not going to be forever. They're wise enough to know they can't stop their doom. So they want to take as many of you and I as they can with them. Keep us holding on to them so that way we can burn with them instead of separating. We be caught in their destruction. Well, brothers and sisters, at this time, I'm going to go ahead and close out this meeting. And I pray to Allah that you gotten some understanding of what was taught today. And before I go, I really wanted to go into some of the chastisement that befalls America, but I'll save that for another time, at another lecture. We'll revisit this, and we'll go into some things that's very important, brothers and sisters. So at this time, I like to say, if you have any questions on what you have heard today, or you would like to learn more, or you want to reclaim your own, please feel free to reach out to us. You can either text message us. You can you can contact us on Facebook via inbox, or you can put your question in the chat, and we'll have someone qualified to answer your question. So at this time, I thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your day to be here with us, because we know that there's many places that you could be. And there's no better place to be than in a place where the truth is being taught, especially in the day and time that we now live in. So I thank you all for tuning in. And if you're seeking to unite, please contact us in the phone number you see going across the screen. And also, if you are seeking to find a temple in your area, please contact us at the number across the screen, 623-312-4352. And we'll be more than happy to direct you in the right place. So at this time, we're going to close out in prayer. So I ask each and every one of you to get in the position of prayer, please. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praises due to Allah, the Lord of all the worlds, the Beneficent, the most merciful, Master and Savior of this day of judgment in which we now live. To Thee alone do we serve, and to Thee alone do we beseech for Thine aid. O Allah, guide us along the right path, the path of those upon whom Thou hast bestowed favor, and not on the path of those upon whom Thy wrath is brought down, nor of those who have gone astray after they have heard Thy teachings. Say, He, Allah, is one God. Allah is He of whom nothing is independent, but upon whom we all depend. He neither begets nor is He begotten, and there is none like unto Him. And I bear witness that there is none to be served or worshipped beside Thee, Almighty God Allah, Master Farad Muhammad. And I bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is Thy last and greatest messenger to we, the lost and found members here in the wilderness of North America. Ameen. Again, we thank you all for tuning in, and we ask that you come back next week and invite your friends and family, because this is important, brothers and sisters. Invite your family. Let them hear some of this life-giving teachings that can help resurrect them as well. And I pray, Allah, that you all have a peaceful day. And until next week, Assalamu alaikum.